Metaphor ReFantazio has sneakily moved up my Game of the Year list, and after playing the demo, you might feel the same way yourself. Earlier this year, I expanded my horizons and tried out my first ever Atlas game in Persona 3 Reload, and I can't lie, that was a blast. The music is enchanting, the characters are fun, and I enjoyed the gameplay system as well. And that's not much different than how I feel about Metaphor. It's so many great things about this game, it's honestly hard to decide where to start, but for now let's talk about the story and a little about the characters we've met so far on this journey. Before we get too deep into it, I want to remind everyone that this isn't a full review. To this point, I put in 20 hours into Metaphor ReFantazio, and how I feel about the game may change by the time I complete the entire story. Metaphor ReFantazio focuses on the protagonist and his companion, a fairy by the name of Galaga. Their mission is to save a lost prince who's had a fatal curse placed upon them by the antagonist Luis. That same antagonist Luis has also assassinated the king, which has led to chaos and struggle for the throne. Now as you go on this journey to take down Luis, save the prince, and claim the throne, you'll meet a ton of creative and interesting characters from different backgrounds, which is a theme in Atlas games. Just like Persona, a lot of Metaphor revolves around character development, not only for the main protagonist, but also for the other cast of characters you'll meet along the way. Metaphor is meant to be a mirror of our world and deals with a lot of the same issues when it comes to discrimination among tribes in this fantasy world, which you'll experience as you interact with NPCs in the city streets. Metaphor is a dialogue-heavy game, which shouldn't be surprising when you know it takes inspiration from the Persona series, but the story isn't told only through dialogue. The visual storytelling is also top tier. Even with all the dialogue, it's still in my opinion an enjoyable experience because of the voice actors and the excellent work they put in for each character. That goes for the English and the Japanese voice actors. I don't believe you can go wrong with choosing either one. Now the highlights besides the graphics, performance, and storytelling would be the gameplay. Metaphor takes a lot from Atlas' previous turn-based RPGs mechanics and elevated them in the form of archetypes, elemental attacks, and synthesis attacks. You'll definitely run into difficult opponents that majority of the time will take place in the form of turn-based battles, in which you have to be a little bit more strategic and go after enemies' weak points or use an elemental attack that they may be weak against. I myself can find going in and out of turn-based battles tedious, especially when it's weaker enemies that require less strategy and just brute force to move to the next point. Metaphor, much like Persona 3 Reload, gives you the option to fight in real time, so if you come across enemies that are on the weaker side, you can dispose of them quickly or get the jump on your enemies and start the battle with an advantage. While you're disposing of these enemies and traveling through dungeons, you'll come across a lot of items to either level up your archetype or just assist you in battle, but items are very plentiful and worth being on the lookout for. As I said before, Metaphor ReFantazio has been a pleasant surprise for myself, and it's a game that should be a lock for a Game of Year nomination, even with all the great titles released this year. We've had great games like Stellar Blade, Sparking Zero, Black Myth Wukong, Astrobot, Final Fantasy Rebirth, Tekken 8, and the list goes on. So if you're looking to add a great game to your catalog with an amazing story and combat that'll give you a challenge, please support Atlas and go out and get a copy of Metaphor ReFantazio. But it's been your boy Kasuke, and I'm out. Peace.